Hey, what's up guys, Duct here, and today we're back with yet another video here on Hypixel Skyblock. Today we're going to be discussing Spider Slayer, all the drops, all the different items you can get, what items are good, what items are bad, what you should really go for, and all that. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoy and hope it helps y'all out. If it does, consider liking the video or subscribing if you're new here. Anyways, let's jump right in. The first thing I'd like to discuss are the drops. The drops recently were actually updated so that you're guaranteed to get Tarantula Web, which is the base drop. And if you end up getting a bonus, for example, if you get Toxic Arrow Poison, you could get both Toxic Arrow Poison and Tarantula Web, and you could actually get a rune drop with that as well. So theoretically, you can get a rune, Toxic Arrow Poison, and Tarantula Web all from the same kill. It's very unlikely, but you can. For the Tarantula Web, the amount you get depends on what level of boss you're killing. So for Tier 1, 1 to 3, Tier 2, 9 to 18, Tier 3, 28 to 48, and Tier 4, 52 to 64. Tarantula Web is basically used to craft every item within Spider Slayer, so you're gonna need quite a bit of it. The next drop is Toxic Arrow Poison. So this has a 20% drop chance when killing a Tier 2 or above boss. At Tier 2, you'll get 16, at Tier 3, 24 to 30, and at Tier 4, 60 to 64. And also this Toxic Arrow Poison sells for 2,000 coins per piece at a merchant, so if you're looking to make a lot of money, Tier 2, for example, if you get one, will make you 32,000 coins, which way overpays a Tier 2 boss, and Tier 3 or Tier 4, it helps out a lot as well. Although, do make sure that you take it out of your inventory the second you get the drop, because if you shoot arrows with it, it will automatically use the arrow poison, and you're wasting 2,000 coins per arrow, so that could get kind of expensive / wasteful. The next drop is Bite Rune, which has a 5% chance to drop when you're doing at least a Tier 2 boss. The next drop is the Spider Catalyst. It's used to craft the Recluse Fang, and it's also used to crafting Tarantula Boots. You automatically get one when you reach Spider Slayer 2. You could get more by killing at least Tier 3 bosses once you're Spider Slayer 2. It is a pretty low chance to drop, which is 1% at Tier 4. The next drop is a Bane of Arthropod 6 book. The main use for this book is going to be if you're going to put it on a Scorpion foil, which is a weapon that you could get from Spider Slayer. To get it, you have to be killing at least a Tier 3 boss, and you have to be at least Spider Slayer 4. The next drop is a Fly Swatter. You have to be at least Spider Slayer 5 and killing a Tier 3 boss for this to drop. The chance for it to drop is less than 1%, so it is pretty rare as well. And it's used to craft Fly Catchers, which is a minion upgrade. This minion upgrade is in Spider Slayer 6, and what it does is it prevents your minions from getting distracted by flies, which increases the speed of your minion by 10%. It's basically slightly better than a minion expander in terms of speed, because minion expander gives you a 5% speed boost. So it's another 5%. The problem is it's super expensive, costing 102 Tarantula Silk plus the Fly Swatter. So I can't really suggest this to anyone, honestly. It's super expensive, unless like you have to have the best speed possible, but still it's not really worth it. The next drop is Tarantula Talisman. To get this, you have to be at least Spider Slayer 6 and killing at least a Tier 3 boss. The chance for it to drop is less than 1%, and it's worth quite a lot on the auction house. The last drop is Digested Mosquito, which is used to craft the Mosquito Bow. This is the lowest drop chance within Spider Slayer, and you have to be killing at least a Tier 4 boss and have to be Spider Slayer 7 for this to drop. Now moving on to the talismans, the first one is going to be Spider Ring at Spider Slayer 1. What it does is it reduces the damage taken from spiders and cave spiders by 10%, and it's also a rare talisman, so you can get decent reforges from it. To craft it, it takes 1 stack of Tarantula Web and the Spider Talisman. There's an upgraded version of this at Spider Slayer 7 called the Spider Artifact, which reduces the damage by 15% rather than 10%, and it's also of epic rarity rather than rare. To craft this, it's going to take 32 Enchanted Emeralds, 32 Tarantula Silk, and the Spider Ring. So somewhat expensive, but this is probably worth it. Also in Spider Slayer 7, there's the Survivor Cube, which is another talisman. Its ability makes heals 5% more effective on you, and you're automatically given it once you reach Spider Slayer 7. The last talisman is Tarantula Talisman, which we discussed before. What it does is every 10th melee hit on the same enemy deals plus 10% damage, so it is actually a pretty good ability on the talisman. And it's of epic rarity, so it's good for reforges. The only way to get it is to be at least Spider Slayer 6 and killing at least a Tier 3 boss, but the chance is less than 1% for it to drop per boss, so it's going to be super hard to get. And if you do get it, well, as you can see in the auction house, it's selling for like 8 to 10 million coins right now, so kind of worth quite a lot. So now for the Tarantula Minion. You unlock this at Spider Slayer 5, and actually when you get Spider Slayer 5, you're automatically given one for free. Its drops are String, Spider Eyes, and Iron Ingots, so it's actually really good. It takes 80 Tarantula Web and Enchanted Feminine Spider Eye, which the Enchanted Feminine Spider Eye takes 1 stack of Enchanted Spider Eyes, 64 Sugar, and 64 Brown Mushroom, so basically just the Enchanted Spider Eyes. You can buy the Spider Eyes from the Alchemy Merchant if you want to purchase this. They're actually pretty good for money, as you get a ton of string from it, which you could craft enchanted string from, and enchanted string is worth a lot on the auction house because people need it for crafts. The next thing we're going to discuss is Tarantula Armor. You can get the Tarantula Armor from Spider Slayer 4 and Spider Slayer 5. You'll get the leggings and boots from 4, and the helmet and chestplate from level 5. The leggings will take you 3 Tarantula Silk and 4 stacks of enchanted iron. The boots, 4 Tarantula Silk, 3 stacks of enchanted iron, Spider's Boots, and Spider Catalyst. Which the Spider's Boots you can get from String Collection 8, which the craft is 4 stacks of enchanted string like so. What these do are they allow you to double jump, which you'll still be able to double jump with the Tarantula Armor, which I'm going to show you here in a second, which is super cool. As for the chestplate and helmet, the helmet takes 2 stacks of enchanted iron and 3 Tarantula Silk, and the chestplate takes 4 Tarantula Silk and 4 stacks of enchanted iron. So all in all, to craft the full set, you'll need 14 Tarantula Silk, 13 stacks of enchanted iron, a Spider Catalyst, and Spider's Boots. The full set bonus on the Tarantula Armor is called Octo Dexterity, which what it does is every 4th strike, you deal double damage and apply Venom, reducing healing by 40% for 4 seconds. Also, each piece of the armor is the same as Revenant Armor, as in killing spiders accumulates defense against them, which the cap on this is at least 500,000, it might even be 1,000,000 kills. But basically, once you get in the thousands of kills on this, you'll have really good defense and easily be able to kill tier 4s with it. As I said before, the boots still have the item ability to double jump. The chestplate has the extra bonus of Antitoxin, which makes you immune to healing reduction, which is really good for Spider Slayers in particular, and probably some other things in the future. And the helmet gives you the extra bonus of Radioactive, which gives you plus 1% crit damage per 10 strength, which is really good as well. So I can 100% suggest to get this armor set, as it's useful in a lot of things outside of Spider Slayer, particularly dragon fights right now, but maybe even more stuff in the future, because that every 4 strike double damage is super good. And just all the stuff in general with it, the double jump and like the ability to like float in the air, which I could show you right now. Like I'm wearing the armor set right now, like you could like literally fly around basically. Like all you have to do is spam spacebar and you just fly around. You also have quite a bit of mana with it because there's a base of 100 intelligence per piece, so you don't exactly run out of mana super quickly either when you're doing that. So now we're going to move on to the swords within Spider Slayer. There are the Recluse Fang from Spider Slayer 2 and the Scorpion Foil from Spider Slayer 6. The Recluse Fang is a rare weapon which has a base damage of 120, a strength of 30, and a crit damage of plus 20%. Its item ability is Squash 'em, which squashes spiders to accumulate strength against them, which gives you plus 1 strength per 40 spiders killed. This is pretty good for early Spider Slayer levels if you have a lower tier weapon. To craft it, it's going to take a Spider Sword, which you get from the Weaponsmith Merchant at spawn, a Spider Catalyst, which you'll automatically get 1 when you reach Spider Slayer 2, and 28 Tarantula Web, which is pretty cheap. The Scorpion Foil, on the other hand, from Spider Slayer 6 is not quite as cheap. It's an epic sword, which has a base damage of 100 and a strength of 100, which also deals 150% increased damage against spiders. It also has the item ability Heartstopper, which basically you have 4 tickers, blocking clears 1 ticker and heals 60 hearts. Once all tickers are cleared, your next attack is empowered for 250% damage, and tickers refill after 5 seconds. So basically this is super good for damage if you just spam all your tickers when you need a little bit of healing, and then you'll have another 250% damage on your next attack. This is a really good weapon if you just want to churn through Spider Slayer 4s, although it's not something that you necessarily have to get, as you could go with Aspect of Dragons, Pigment Sword, or anything else in the high weapon tier, as all it's going to do is make you kill it faster and not make you able to kill it if you weren't before, unless you are talking about pretty low level armor. I can definitely see it being pretty useful against Spider 5s though, as that increased damage will probably be necessary. Also, since it's a wood sword, you can actually apply a wood singularity to it, which will give it another 100 strength, making it 100 damage and 200 strength, which makes it quite a bit better. To be at its best, you're definitely going to want to apply a wood singularity to it. To craft it, it takes 24 Tarantula Silk, 2 stacks of enchanted acacia wood, and 1 stick, so it's somewhat expensive, but not insanely expensive. Although getting the wood singularity is pretty expensive, it's definitely going to be necessary if you want this to be a top tier weapon. And for our last category, bows. So there are 2 bows within Spider Slayer. There's the Scorpion Bow from Spider Slayer 3 and the Mosquito Bow from Spider Slayer 7. The Scorpion Bow for Spider Slayer 3 is an epic bow which has a base damage of 110 and a strength of 10. Its item ability is Stinger, which fully charged shots while sneaking slow the victim and deal 35 times your strength as damage per second for 6 seconds. To get super high strength, some people actually modded all their talismans to get strength for this. As you can imagine, 35 times your strength as damage is actually pretty decent, especially as it's damage per second, not just straight up one shot. The craft takes 48 Tarantula Silk, 64 enchanted emeralds, and 32 enchanted gold, so it is pretty expensive, as that's going to be 96 stacks of Tarantula Web and 16 stacks of Enchanted Flint. It is not cheap. Speaking of not cheap, the Mosquito Bow. The Mosquito Bow is a legendary bow with a base damage of 251, a strength of 101, and gives you plus 9% crit damage. Its item ability is Nasty Bite, which fully charged shots while sneaking cost 11% of max mana, and they deal plus 19% damage. Also, they heal for 2 times the mana cost. It's gonna be pretty decent for damage and alright for healing. To craft it though is gonna take 3 stacks of Tarantula Silk, 2 stacks of Enchanted Iron, and the Digested Mosquito. The Digested Mosquito, which we discussed earlier, is a Pray RNGesus drop from killing level 4 bosses after Spider Slayer 7. So for one, you have to be Spider Slayer 7, and you also have to be killing tier 4 bosses, and it's also less than 1% chance. It's by quite a bit less than 1%. So it's extremely rare to get. All in all, right now for the cost of this bow, I can't really suggest it, but it may be super good in the future, similar to the Reaper Scythe, which we discussed in the Zombie Slayer video. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of my Spider Slayer guide. I hope it really helps a lot of y'all out try to figure out what you should go for here in Spider Slayer. And especially this armor, the Tarantula Armor, is super, super good. All the abilities that it has, the increased defense against spiders if you're trying to grind Spider Slayer. Even if you're not trying to grind Spider Slayer, it's super good in other stuff. So I would definitely suggest to go for Tarantula Armor if you're going to... If you're planning to go for any of the Slayer armor sets, this is the one to go for. Anyways, guys, going to be making a Wolf Slayer guide here soon, and I also put out a Zombie Slayer guide yesterday, so if you want to check out the Zombie Slayer guide after this, that'd be super cool. And also, I'll be putting out the Wolf Slayer guide pretty soon as well. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the guide. If you did, consider liking the video, helps me out a lot. And if you're new here, maybe consider subscribing for more content. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one.